In this introduction to model graphing, we're going to plot a simple model. I'm going to create two variables. First, the free fall acceleration, 9.8 meters per second squared, and an initial velocity v1. I'm going to plot a simple model minus 1/2 gt squared plus v1t. This is a projectile motion in one dimension. I'm going to plot from the independent variable range t from 0 to 1.5 seconds. At this point in time, I hit Shift-Enter and create a simple graph. Now, I only want to look at the trajectory of the particle above 0. So to do this, I'm going to adjust the plot range from 0 and to all. All specifies that use the entire vertical range of the projectile motion. Now I would like to add a frame to this graph that creates a clear distinguishing which is part of the graph and which is not part of the graph. Now I need to add axes labels. To do this, I use the frame label command. The horizontal axis and the vertical axis get time and position, and I have units on both of those, seconds and meters. Now I need to add a simple caption to this graph. I'll use the plot label function to do this, the y position for a ball tossed upwards as a function of time. This simple statement indicates what the purpose of the graph is and what it is that the model is showing. Now I need to increase the size of the graph. If I use a 800 pixel wide graph, it looks a little bit better when shown in a presentation. And I adjust the size of the text to about 18 point, which makes it bigger for presentation. Now I'd like to adjust the color of my model plot. To do this, I use the plot style command, and I want to make it red, and I want to make it thicker. Finally, I would like to add a second model, a second particle trajectory velocity of v2 of 4.5 meters per second squared. To do this, I add a list for the first entry in the plot command, and I add the second particle's trajectory. I also need to indicate the plot style for the second model. I create an exterior list for this piece for the plot style, and I make this one blue and thick. Now I have both models. Now I need to add a legend. The plot legends command adds a legend by default off to the right-hand side. I can use variables and units, and I'd like to move it inside the graph. To do that, I use the placed and line legend commands. The two variables, the two numbers in placed, are 85% to the right and 75% to the top. Finally, I can add a legend label, initial ball velocity, and I have axes, frame, legend, and everything I need to indicate a clear graph of models.